along this week, I'm sharing tips and tricks for making slimline cards. And today I want to share how you can emboss card fronts for slimline cards without any special embossing folders, even though embossing folders are not long enough to do an entire card front. Let me show you how. Slimline cards can really be a lot of fun to create, but if you're wanting to emboss the fronts for them, it can be a challenge because oftentimes our embossing folders are not large enough. So I want to show you exactly how you can emboss the fronts with using embossing folders you already have in your collection. Now let me show you two samples I've already created that will show you the finished look. So here is one I created with the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. This is a new stamp set, Let's Set Sail, that I thought turned out really cute. But this shows you one sample of I used this embossing folder to emboss this piece, which as you can see is longer than the front. And let me show you one other sample as well. This is a nice masculine card with a timber embossing folder, and here is the end result. Hopefully you can see that texture on there, that wood grain. So how can we create this look? Well, first, you're going to need to choose certain embossing folders from your collection. Not all of them are going to work with this, but stick around until the end because I do want to share another tip that you can use for the embossing folders that I don't describe right now. So first, you either want to choose an embossing folder that has a symmetrical pattern, okay, symmetrical such as dots or checks, or this hive pattern is pretty close to symmetrical, something symmetrical, stripes. That is going to work really well, and I'll show you an example of how to do this here in just a second. The second type of pattern that will work, that these both fall into, is just a small pattern. So these aren't necessarily symmetrical, but the pattern is small enough that where we join our two embossing pieces together, it's a small enough pattern that you don't notice the change in the pattern. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about and how to do this. And I am going to demonstrate using this polka dot pattern. So I need my embossing machine here, and I am going to put my paper in the folder at the one end, and we're going to run it through. And this end is going to hang out just like that. And that is okay because I will show you what we're going to do. So for my regular embossing folder, I need to put this between my two clear cutting plates. And what I'm going to do is crank this through, but not all the way. So I want to crank this through, but I don't want to go past where that embossing folder is still sticking out of the machine right here, okay? So now I want to back it out. And what this does is it keeps from getting that weird mark at the end of the embossing folder. So I'll take this out. You can see that this piece is embossed, the rest is not. We're going to flip this around, and what we have to do now is line up that pattern with this other end of the folder. So right here where I have it, I have the dots that were already embossed lined up with the dots on the folder, and we're going to send this back through the other way, again being careful not to send it through all the way. We'll send it through most of the way, and then we will back it out. So take a look at that. You can see I have embossed that entire piece with this smaller embossing folder, and it looks really nice. So this is an example of the symmetrical pattern. Now, like I said, you can use that timber one or the Tasteful Textile one with those smaller patterns. I didn't even try and line these up. I just ran them through the one direction, flipped it around, ran it through the other way. And because these patterns are small enough, you just don't even notice where the pattern changes. Okay, now I said at the end I was going to share a tip for what to do if your embossing folders are not symmetrical and they don't have a small pattern. So here is a trick for you that I have done. And actually, this is the same embossing folder I used on my sailboat card, but I did this one differently before I knew that I could do it this way. So what I did here was I embossed two separate pieces, and I actually cut them and hid them behind this die cut. So this is something you can do. You can cut those pieces and hide them behind a die cut, behind another piece of paper. Maybe your greeting goes in the front here and you can make a strip that goes all the way across a piece of ribbon. So that is a way you can emboss the entire front. If it's not symmetrical and if it's not a small pattern, is just to actually do two separate pieces and then hide where they join up behind an element on your card. So thanks for watching along. You can get links to the products I used in the video description below. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.